Hey guys, I am Chris Kaler.
And I'm Amber Frost and Kyuujin, and today we're with you guys to start House of Dragon, episode 1.
Finally! The Heirs of the Dragon, I think this first episode is called. It has been a long time coming. I was dealing with the hospital thing when it came out last year.
Yeah, so we weren't able to watch it with you guys when it came out.
Yeah, and it's been a year. I've been wanting to watch this. Finally, we have time. Finally, we can begin this. It's been so long since we've watched with you guys something Game of Thrones related, sort of. I am very excited. I am a bit afraid that I forgot a lot of the lore when it comes to Game of Thrones. We will jump back into this universe. I think it's 200, 300 years before Game of Thrones. So, to our credit, a lot of what we know from Game of Thrones has not happened yet. So
not yet, but we're gonna see betrayal, politics, I expected. Family feud.
I do know from someone who has watched it that there will be mentions of stuff that ended up being important in Game of Thrones. So I'm excited for that to come back. I'm excited to learn about the history, the Targaryens as a whole, because Daenerys being the only one we followed in Game of Thrones, and she grew up in exile, so she had no connection whatsoever to our culture. All that she knew was what Viserys told her.
And Viserys wasn't really much of a help.
So we have found out about bits and pieces of their history, but we know nothing about who they used to be, what they used to do, how they were, except that there was a lot of incest going on.
I know that one of the doctor is playing a Targaryen in this.
Targaryen, yeah. We have seen his face, it's true. But yeah, Overall, I'm just really excited to go back to this universe and see what they have to tell us about the history of this house, when they used to sit the Iron Throne. So, something we have never seen in Game of Thrones, so yeah.
Alright.
Aside from that, we know nothing about what this show has in store for us, so let's be shocked and freak out like we usually do when we watch these episodes.
Okay.
Don't forget to subscribe, you guys, if you want to see more of these episodes, and check out our Patreon for the full-length reactions.
In the meantime, let's go.
The health of the old king, Jaehaerys, was failing.
A lot of people in fanfics called John Jaehaerys because it was better than Aegon.
Tragedy had claimed both his sons, leaving his succession in doubt. The old king called a great council to choose an heir. Over 1,000 lords made the journey to Harrenhal.
Okay, this is Harrenhal.
14 succession claims were heard, but only 2 were truly considered. Princess Rhaenys Targaryen and her younger cousin, Prince Viserys Targaryen.
Kind of looks like Danny here.
But isn't it supposed to be like her ancestor?
They are all, yeah.
No, but her main ancestor, I mean.
Paramount and Lord's vassal of the Seven Kingdoms.
This is a Lannister. This is a Stark. This
Viserys Targaryen, remain Prince of Dragonstone.
Tensions.
Jaehaerys called the Great Council to prevent a war being fought over his succession, for he knew the cold truth. The only thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon
A dragon?
was itself.
Yeah. It would cause war, like people descended from her versus people that got the throne. They would be like...
Both saying that they have a true claim to the throne.
Or better claim, because
Yeah.
when it comes down to choice,
It is now the 9th year of King Viserys' first Targaryen's reign.
172 years before the death of the Mad King Aerys and the birth of his daughter, Daenerys Targaryen. Okay, so about 200 years. 172.
Before Game of Thrones.
Thanks for putting us in the timeline. I thought it was 300
He
years.
also had 2 sons, Rhaegar and Viserys.
Yeah, but since Daenerys was the player in Game of Thrones, and dragons were still a thing, so that's pretty cool. I'm already hearing similar soundtracks. The Targaryen theme song, bits and pieces of Game of Thrones.
I have missed this universe, guys.
Oh, we know here, we know this place.
The Red Key.
It's good to see it not destroyed.
Ohalas, Syrax.
That's who we're
That's
following.
our main girl.
She's on the poster.
Syrax is growing quickly. She'll soon be as large as Caraxes.
I would not want to be a handler.
But I mean, back then, dragon training or just
More normal.
were
yeah.
normal, yeah, so.
Can you imagine having seen Game of Thrones and then being cast in this show and just seeing all the sets and stuff?
Rhaenyra,
Rhaenyra.
you know I don't like you to go flying while I'm in this condition.
Did you sleep?
I don't need mothering, Rhaenyra.
You are surrounded by attendants, all focused on the babe. Someone has
No,
to
what about the
attend you.
mom?
This discomfort is how we serve the realm.
I'd rather serve as a knight and ride to battle and glory.
Okay. I like those types of people. Those girls.
The growing alliance among the free cities has taken to styling itself the Triarchy. A man called Kragas Drehar has styled himself the Prince Admiral of this Triarchy. They call him the Crab Feeder.
Crab
due to his
feeder.
inventive methods of punishing his enemies.
Ugh.
Be late. King's cupbearer must not be late.
For a second I was like, oh, she's in the small council. Good for her.
Yeah, not at that age, not as a girl.
You can learn a lot though from giving someone
As
here
a cooker?
Arya managed, so
I would urge that you not allow this Triarchy much latitude in the Stepstone.
The Crown has heard your report, Lord Corliss, and takes it under advisement. Shall we discuss the heirs tournament, Your Grace?
oh,
I
boy.
would be delighted.
When someone brings actual concerns and you're like talking about tournaments, man.
We have no way of predicting the sex of the child.
There's a boy in the Queen's belly.
And my heir will soon put all of this damnable hand-wringing to rest himself.
To be the girl like, oh, how you're dismissing me for a baby who's not even been born yet.
Back in those days.
Sucks to be a girl sometimes. Oh man, they made it a bit more accurate to the one in the books.
Sparrow drivo sega uma kebus. Begin balik nut stati lux daor.
Hello,
He
doctor.
believes to be the heir. Okay. She called him uncle, right? He's a okay.
He's our father's brother.
It's Valyrian steel, like Dark Sister.
Turn around.
I mean, we've seen that happen way too many times with the Targaryens.
But
I
then it's
remember.
yeah, it's we're used to it at this point. Like there's no, we're not even gonna discuss it.
You and I both own a small piece of our ancestry.
Can you say yet what it is?
It's a small cut from sitting the throne.
You get cut by the throne, man. That's never a good thing. Or if it's something worse, this is also bad.
Whatever it is, it needs to be kept quiet.
Cauterization would be a wise course of treatment, Your Grace. It will be painful.
Fine.
You're setting up uncle dude just to get the throne really quickly. What's his name? Damon?
Damon.
They're hyping him up a lot. I love Doctor Who.
You're a pack of hounds, sated and honed for the hunt. My brother's city has fallen into squalor.
Man, the golden clothes were wow back then.
Beginning tonight, King's Landing will learn to fear the color gold.
I'm not sure sending soldiers this hungry for blood into the city to look for trouble is a good idea. Yeah. Is it just a fucking statement then? Okay, big man. Welcome back. Ugh. How do you fucking know?
Is that his way of attaining his quota? That one bred him a thief, that one bred him a raper, that one is a murderer.
I guess.
I'm doing my job, but
No, but oof. I mean, maybe they were criminals. Instead of giving them judgment, you just judge them yourself and do that shit.
The City Watch is not a sword to be wielded at your whim.
The Watch was enforcing the Crown's law. Much of King's Landing is seen by the small folk as lawless and terrifying.
but how did you know which crime belongs to whom? And if they
Well,
were
they
guilty?
probably know, but they were probably convicted or something, and they just were awaiting judgment.
The criminal element should fear the City Watch.
Enforce my laws, but understand, any further performances like last night's will be answered.
You gotta stay strong and rule you know, deal punishment when it's needed, but to make it a spectacle and be this brutal in front of the families, in front of stuff, like, I get what he was trying to do, but it's so intense that you don't, it's fine to have a little fear, but you don't want to rule with fear and just fear. At least I don't think so.
I know many of you have travelled long leagues to be at these games. You will not be disappointed. Queen Emma has begun her labours.
It's a good thing that it happened today.
As far as tournaments go, this looks a lot bigger and better than the one in Game of Thrones Season 1, Episode 1.
Yeah?
They have a lot more money.
King Viserys seems to be a better king than King Robert, first of all.
Yeah. He cares about being king, whereas Robert would have rather be a warrior.
I would humbly ask for the favour of the queen who never was.
Good fortune to you, cousin.
Oh, he's a Baratheon.
You get out Baratheon's tongue for that.
Tongues will not change the succession. Let them wag.
Makes it a lot easier that we know this, the families. Production is a bit more intense, yet they've grown.
House Targaryen will now choose its first opponent.
The thing is, he is playing the role of a prince pretty well. Look at his attire, man.
Well, he is a dragon prince.
And right now he's the heir, unless they get a son. It's intentional.
Hightower.
It's intentional because the hand doesn't like him.
Demon said the Wayne Hightower of Old Town, eldest son of the hand of the king.
Ooh, fuck. Does that count as cheating?
Nope.
You sure?
I don't think so.
Nicely done, Uncle.
Thank you, Princess. Fairly certain I can win these games, Lady Allison. Having your favour would all but assure it.
Why her?
That's his daughter.
Or is that again another way to just fuck up?
Yeah, I think that is.
So, baby's born? Is it dead?
Oh my gosh, they are scared.
All attempts to turn the baker fail.
Oh fuck. It's gonna be between the son and the mom.
Do something for her.
We've given her as much milk of the poppy as we can without risking the child.
Oh, I think he's gonna have to choose between the baby and her. And he's gonna choose the baby because he wants his heir.
I'm sure that wasn't part of the game.
I wonder if this is how we should celebrate the birth of our future king.
With a bloodbath.
These nights was green as summer grass. None have known real war. It's a marvel that war didn't break out at first blood.
Yeah, you sure this is permitted? Supposedly tourney?
Is that supposed to be a parallel that they are dying at the moment and she's gonna die?
It sometimes becomes necessary for the father to make an impossible choice. To sacrifice one or to lose them both. There is a chance that we can save the child, which involves cutting directly into the womb to free the infant.
And the thing is, she's not asleep. Like, she will feel it if it... They did say, like, celebrating the birth of the future king with this is bad, but it's equally as bad to celebrate his birth with the massacre death of his mom.
They're going to bring the baby out now.
Ah, this is about to get bloody.
Did not even tell her what was gonna happen. Damn it.
He's the king, he made his choice, they don't give a shit about her.
I'm scared, Nan. Don't be scared, they're going to break the baby. It's alright.
Don't be scared.
It's a good parallel.
Oh boy!
He pissed, he's really pissed. Oh shit! You're good! Oof! And she has no idea what's happening with her mom. She had no chance to say goodbye or anything. Oh. Karma would be a bitch if it turned out to be a girl.
Is it a son?
Congratulations, Your Grace.
Probably.
You have a son.
At what cost?
But he just lost his wife.
Small satisfaction, I guess. He's dead. Wait. Is he dead?
I think he's dying, yeah.
You're about to feel real sad. The foreshadowing of all these people care only for the baby, but who's caring about you? Well, killed his wife for nothing, man.
How is his grace?
Very low.
I'm gonna pretend he's playing the game already, but he's in a good position. He's close to the king, she's close to the daughter.
What?
He's like,
In his chambers.
He doesn't expect his daughter to talk to the king, but to...
He's playing the game.
One of your mother's dresses.
Like I said, he's close to the king, she's close to the princess, and now he's sending her to the king, who's now a widow. He has no wife. He would be looking for comfort, and if she gets close to him, there's a chance. It's disgusting, she is young, but this is how the game is played.
She could probably give him an heir.
Last night, Prince Damon bought out one of the pleasure houses to entertain officers of the city. He toasted Prince Balon,
The king's son.
styling him the heir for a day.
Not much better than the queen who never was.
The heir for a day.
The thing is, if he didn't say it, it could be a play by the hand.
My family has just been destroyed. But instead of being by my side or Rhaenyra's, you chose to celebrate your own rise! You have no allies at court but me! In everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face!
You've only ever tried to send me away. Not once have you asked me to be your hand.
Why would I do that?
Because I'm your brother.
Doesn't
Are you
matter.
worthy of the title?
The blood I see Otto Hightower for what he is.
He doesn't protect you. I would.
From what?
Yourself.
I don't know, man. You were sitting on the throne earlier when we met
You're
you.
weak, Viserys. And that council of leeches knows it. They all prey on you for their own ends.
Careful!
I have decided to name a new heir. You are to return to Runestone and your lady wife at once. By order of your king.
It's getting dangerous. To be fair, he has a right to be pissed. And like, as much as he seemed, down and stuff earlier, we have met him sitting on the throne.
He does have ambition.
Yep.
And even if he didn't say the heir for a day, that would have been something that I could see him say,
This though, like, the legend is, if you're not a good king and the throne rejects you, you'll get cut. So that would mean, in the lore of Game of Thrones, that you're not a good king.
He's not worthy of being king?
Yep.
What do you see?
I suppose I see us. Everyone says Targaryens are closer to gods than to men. But they say that because of our dragons. Without them, we're just like everyone else.
Some of you have some special powers that others don't have.
They're a power men should never have trifled with. One that brought Valyria its doom. If we don't mind our own histories, it will do the same to us. Targaryen must understand this to be king. Or queen.
What?
I'm sorry, Rhaenyra. I have wasted the years since you were born, wanting for a son.
It's like you saying that you're second best. No?
Well, medieval times, they think of men first and women second, if at all.
Damon is your heir.
Damon was not made to wear the crown, but I believe that you were.
I, Corlys Velaryon, promise to be faithful to King Viserys and his named heir, the Princess Rhaenyra.
This is no trivial gesture, Rhaenyra. The Iron Throne is the most dangerous seat in the realm.
Come on, Baratheon. Kneel down.
The realm, right now it doesn't look like it, but the realm is fractured.
Aegon foresaw the end of the world of men. Just to begin with a terrible winter.
Oh, are we talking prophecy of,
Rickon Stark,
Hey!
Lord of Winterfell. Aegon saw absolute darkness riding on those winds. When this great winter comes,
It would happen in one episode.
Targaryen must be seated on the Iron Throne. Strong enough to unite the realm against the cold and the dark. Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire.
We know about that. Hey!
Now you must promise to carry it and protect it.
Wasn't that the dagger?
Is the dagger.
The thing is, it's only making me think of the disappointment that is season 8. Oh man.
I, Viserys Targaryen, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, do hereby name Rhaenyra Targaryen, heir to the Iron Throne.
You will suffer for it. Good luck. And it was way too short. Give me that song. Oh my god, welcome back.
So, did it make as good as an impact as the first episode from Game of Thrones?
No.
It is the same universe, but it is true that yes, we got like politics in Game of Thrones, but we got also this mysterious dark magic going on with the North problem, you know?
The shock of the first episode of Game of Thrones, the impending doom, the knowing that there's something coming that like is lurking north, like all of that, the brutality of the killing people, the
Jaime
harshness,
pushing a boy from the
the
tower.
harshness of the rules and the way of things for their universe and back in time to medieval. And the shock of incest and all of that, like the politics of it, murder, all of that. Way better in Game of Thrones. But we know that. That's what made Game of Thrones Game of Thrones. This cannot top Game of Thrones because we're already used to Game of Thrones. If we had seen this first, if we had seen this for the first time without having seen anything else, that would have been different. But I don't think we can equal or compare to Game of Thrones. I have heard that House of the Dragon is going to be a lot more political.
It's fine by me.
It's totally fine by me. It's going to be different though. So we won't even try to compare. What is fun, what is cool, is the little things that they will plant here and there to remind us of Game of Thrones. So just the mention of the...
sorry, when I think about it, it is kind of sort with... like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like,
Yep.
you know, it is a character that you know, or a universe that you know of.
Yeah.
So you're gonna pinpoint some names there, some clues there, and you
Yeah.
can just bring this experience so much more better for you, you know?
It will build the world. The thing is, though, we're gonna have to be careful because Game of Thrones happening 172 years in the future. There are things that they say that we forgot they said in Game of Thrones that will happen in this show. I kept remembering Joffrey telling, I think it was Marjorie, he was telling her about the Targaryen corpses that, the tombs and stuff, and this is Queen whatever, died like this. I remember there is one that died eaten by her own dragon, or burned by her own dragon.
Really?
And I'm trying not to remember the name because I'm like, I cannot spoil myself because what if, because we don't know, but this is part of the history. If you look into things, if you look at, what led to Game of Thrones, if you look at stuff that they discuss or the stuff in the books, you can guess where this is going. So I'm going to try my hardest not to think about too much about what happens in the future because I don't want to get spoiled or spoil myself through fucking memory with what happens to these characters. There are names that are definitely ringing a bell. Sometimes I might be... The thing is, names come back often in this universe, in history as a whole.
I mean,
so,
if I only think about, like, Last Kingdom, as with Ethelflaed, Ethelred, almost always the same name.
Edward the First, the Second, the Third, like it's history.
Yeah, so names do come back often.
I do know, ever since Game of Thrones ended, I've been reading fan fictions and stuff like non-stop. There is a bunch of people who brought a lot of history in what they wish could have happened in Game of Thrones, rewriting season 8, all of that. I wish I could rewrite season 8 too. We got so disappointed, which by the way is the only thing I I kind of felt bad about in this episode.
Honestly.
The mention of the prophecy, like the mention of the Song of Ice and Fire. If you hear this for the first time, you're like, oh, the doom, it's coming, like we gotta prepare. But we know how it ends. So I can't help but feel like, yeah, you're hyping it up now, but we definitely know where it's going. And it's not to say that it wasn't an epic. Like, it's still, I will say what I read online ever since the end of Game of Thrones. Like, despite whatever happened in the end, Game of Thrones is still one of the best TV shows that was ever made overall. Like, even its worst season sometimes can be, can go against good seasons of other shows and win. So it's not completely trash. But there's definitely stuff that happened that left us wanting. And to be fair, it's still sort of true. Like, they mentioned a Targaryen uniting the world. They did say they had to be sitting the Iron Throne to unite the world, even though but we all know neither Jon nor Daenerys sat the Iron Throne.
No.
They still became kings and queens in their own right. They still, Jon definitely united the world. Made sure that people were together to fight the Night King. So the Targaryens still had a part to play in this war.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna take it as is, right now I see the world seems at peace, but there's definitely fractures. There's a lot of players right now who want to, get in a good position, if not get to the throne.
Much more power, yeah.
Yeah, so the goal will be to keep House Targaryen going through all of that, because war is definitely coming. They said it's been, years ever since Maegor the Cruel, I think was his name, and so then they've had a long time of peace, but now the king has this sore in his back, which I don't know what it's gonna develop into. If it's cuts from the throne, it probably just means that he's not fit to sit the throne. The legend is that if you sit on the throne and you're not doing your duty correctly, like slouching and all of that, the throne will cut you. Whereas if you sit upright and don't move because you're doing your duty with, completely, you won't get cut.
I did want to say, while watching the show, that Viserys the First seemed to me like sort of a good king compared to maybe King Robert. But it is true that when his council brought up important subject, he brushed it aside that, my wife is giving birth soon to my son, and the heir tournament is gonna come soon. That's important. Not the threats, the wars, and what's really matters.
The problem with kings sometimes, and with him that's definitely the case, is that instead of focusing on their rule and what they're going to change and do, they think of the future. So instead of focusing on matters at hand, they will be obsessed with the idea of getting their son, getting a succession going, having an heir. Like, it's all about the future. I gotta stay in power. I gotta have someone ready to take power from me when I die, and it needs to be my son. Like, it's all about obsessing over the legacy, but you're not caring so much about the little problems. So others, will either judge you silently for that, or they will use that as an opportunity to make plans while you're not looking. Obviously, I noticed it too, that he wasn't really paying attention to the small problems that, I don't remember, triarchy that's going on in the Free Cities. I don't know if it's coming back, but it's definitely something happening. And the guy, the tournament was one thing, but he was really obsessed with the idea of having his son. His daughter, how old would you give her? Probably 15?
Well, Damon said that it's been 10 years.
She's not 10. She's not 10, come on.
Do you think that she was born before he was king?
She looks, no, I'm sorry, but she looks older than...
No, I get it, no. She's not 10. If she looks to be the same age as her best friend, Alicent Hightower, the same girl that her own father said, go to the king chambers.
He's playing the game.
He might need some comfort. Go talk to him.
But he's playing the game. That's the thing, he's not planning treason or anything. He's putting his daughter in the right place to comfort the king, and he's not forcing anyone, technically, but he's hoping that naturally things will go. Like, he's making her wear the dress of her mom's dress, all of that. Like, he's pushing things in the right direction, and it'll let them happen. If the king ends up sleeping with her, taking her for a wife or anything, that's on the king. He's the one who's gonna choose that. I can't really, in this world, I can't really blame anyone for playing the game, as long as they advise people correctly, as long as they look for peace and stuff. Like,
but if it does end up to be that at the end,
I do think that Queen Alicent sounds familiar.
If it does end up that the king chose her as his next wife, she didn't have a say in it. Then her father,
I know,
asked her to do this.
But that's usually what happens to women back in those times, back in medieval, times, and just fucking history as a whole. They have no say. Fucking, like, the queen herself, they decided, like, that's the thing. Men have made decisions like that before. Like, it's still happening sometimes when you have to choose between the mother and the child. We hear often that the choice comes down to the husband, who decides the child or the baby. My take on it is, if you ask any mother, would you rather save the child or your own life? Pretty sure a lot of mothers would be saying save the child. But at least you ask the mother. In those days, where I said it in the episode, you would think of the man first and the women second, if at all. He was so obsessed with the idea of having a son. He was so obsessed with the idea of having an heir. And his wife said it was the last one. So if the baby died here, he would never get an heir. He was so obsessed with that he made the decision. And he's the king. No one can go against that. What saddens me is that she never was told. She never was asked, because it doesn't matter. Her daughter literally foreshadowed it by saying, like, all of these people care about the baby. Who's going to care about you? That's the thing. No one cared about her. It's the baby. Or nothing. So he made the decision, and then, like, it hurt him. But that's usually how things go. Women are not asked their opinion. So it's pretty cool that he ended up naming his daughter his heir. But if he does get with Alicent, if he does marry her, and she gives him a son, Rhaenyra, she's gonna fuck off.
She's gonna be put sick again.
Yeah, it's not gonna matter, and she's definitely gonna feel betrayed if that happens. She's definitely not gonna like her friend as much. I love her character, by the way. I think I don't think
she
it's
has
something.
A strong personality.
It's kind of like she wishes she could be something other than the princess and stuff. Like, she wishes she could be on the battlefield. She has a strong spirit. She wants to fight. She has she's cool. She's pretty intense. She never expected the throne or the crown, because it wasn't made for her, and she only wished for her parents to be happy. And as sad as it is, she knew that she couldn't make her dad happy because she wasn't a boy. Her dad naming her his heir puts a lot of pressure on her shoulders. I think right now, she looks like she's, willing to take that job and doing it brilliantly. So I hope it's gonna work out. She needs to, she's the only one left. She needs to make her dad proud. The thing, though, is that it's not about her so much as, he had no other choice.
That's the thing, you're the second best, because Damon is not fit to be next in line to be.
And, like, the council is afraid of Damon being in power. But that's the thing. I said that the realm was already fractured.
Yeah.
Not broken, but fractured, because you got the king with whatever he's gonna do. You got those who choose Rhaenyra because they either will like her in the future or because they'd rather have her than Damon. You got those who would follow Damon. Mm-hmm. And you got those who would follow
Rhaenyra,
the queen who never was. Rhaenyra? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And her husband is also on a small council. So he's her husband, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So even though they are still close to the throne, they still are close to the king. We saw the looks. We saw, like, the Baratheons being like, the queen who was not, like... There is some grievances there. Like, some of them would rather follow them, wish they could follow them, because it's their family. They would push for them. And you got also, like, Hightower, like, I don't remember his actual name, but the hand of the king, who's also pushing for... Otto, thank you.
Otto,
He's also pushing for his own design. So, as much as it looks like it's peaceful right now, there are a lot of players, and eventually they'll start playing. and Rhaenyra was just put in the middle of it all. She has no training because he never trained her to be an heir. She was the cupbearer at the small council though, which is interesting because Arya used to be in that same position with Tywin, and she learned a lot. There's a lot to learn from being in the room with these players.
When people don't think that you're a menace or that you can, learn information against their will.
And the thing is, like,
no one's looking at the cover, even though that the cover is the princess.
And like, it's a big mistake not to, because the thing, like, you have a daughter. You need, even though you think she's not going to be your heir or anything, you should have trained her, you should have taught her how to play the game, because even if people right now at least are not considering women as part of the small council or as queens and stuff, being able to play the game is how you survive in King's Landing. And she could be, if you ended up having a son, she could have been a great asset. He didn't do that, and now that she's forced to be the heir, she won't necessarily have the tools.
Would you say that right now she might be a little bit naive?
She's still a kid.
In her position?
She's still a kid. She had dreams of freedom and all of that. She has a connection with her uncle, which Damon, I don't know what to think about him yet.
As of now, he only gave her a necklace and he put it on her.
The thing is,
we never seen nothing else.
No, there's definitely looks being sent and fuck off. The thing is, as much as I want to be like, no, he's gonna be a good guy, like, I see the ambition. He's been listening in on the small council. He's mad that he's being treated this way, sent away. Right now he strikes me as a guy who believes he deserves a lot more than he's been given. So to be sent away is like, fuck. He's coming back, and he's coming back with plans and vengeance. I think a good idea would be to either get his wife killed or something and then marry the princess. That's a way to get the throne. She's the heir. I'm just saying, but we'll see. Because we met him sitting on the throne. We know that's not a good sight. If you're the king's brother and you're sitting on the throne, that means that you believe, deep down, you believe you deserve to have a seat. You know?
I just can't wait to be next in line.
to
be king.
And like, just his speech at the brothel, I'm like, fighting wise, he seems okay. Like, he doesn't want to give up easily. He's got his pride. He still can be bested. That Dondarrion guy was pretty strong. They said he was from Dorne, so maybe I'm either Beric is from Dorne or I'm confusing a Dondarrion with another Dondarrion. In any case, we'll see. But I do also believe, like the people at the small council, that he's a bit wild when it comes to what he's doing.
Impulsive?
Yeah, because what he did with the gold cloaks, I said it in the episode, I understand the meaning of fear, because fear and respect sometimes kind of go hand in hand. If the city has been in disarray and the nobles don't realize because they don't give a shit about the small folk, to do that would send a strong message of this is what happens to you if you cross the line, if you don't follow the rules. And we are lenient, like we're fine with ruling with peace and stuff, but if you cross us, this is how we repay you. But to make it a show this brutal, that's taking it. Even if we put aside the brutality of it, it is taking a lot of freedom. It's basically him deciding he's going to do that in the king's name without the king's approval. So it might have been good for what was going on with the small folk, but to us it just seemed that he did that with no real reason other than just showing people he could do it. Which to me is a bit terrifying.
But that's the thing though. I'm not completely sure that those people were really guilty of charge. Just wanted to, there were problems happening maybe with the small folk, and they just decided to deal with this man, you're like a murderer, a rapist,
it did look like
thief, so I'm gonna make an example of you people.
I don't know
what's gonna happen to those commit those crimes.
It looked like they were picking random people and stuff, but they I don't know, they could have been people that were suspected of crimes or were arrested and were waiting for judgment, or people who just got freed because not enough proof. they could have the names. They could know like, oh, the guy that lives right over there, like he's suspected of having done that. It did look though that they would just pick random people in the crowd
But it looks like that to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like that to me. But yeah, using fear to control people doesn't necessarily bring you respect from them.
Sometimes it works with respect. Ruling with only fear, I've never been a fan of that. Our Vikings reaction, we talked about this a lot. I don't think it's necessary to rule with only fear. Respect goes a long way. But sometimes you gotta show some strength. Like, okay, let's take my favorite Game of Thrones character, Jon. Back at the Watch, he ruled with respect. People respected him, did his, followed his command and all of that.
But eventually betrayed him and killed him.
Eventually, he did something that they disagreed with, and some of them betrayed him. He came back, which is good, but he was still killed. And what he did after was murder them. He executed them. Why? Because these guys were willing to kill him, cross the rule, basically go against the rules, do something terrible that's not. You can't forgive that. You can't just forgive them and let them go. Sometimes you got to show a strong hand.
But the difference in what Jon did in Game of Thrones, he acted like Ned Stark. He had to apply the rule and the consequences of it.
Those were the consequences.
He hanged them. He didn't make a show out of it.
He kind of made a show out of it. He did it in front of everyone else, girl.
No.
He did it in front of everyone else.
Jon?
Yeah.
Well, he hanged them. Like, when you murder your captain...
I know.
You're gonna get hanged.
I'm not comparing this necessarily by saying he was cruel.
But what I said, he didn't dismember them.
No, but that's the actual punishment though, back then. If you steal something, we cut off your hand. They said in the small council, some of them agreed with what he did because he literally applied the king's rule. Except he did it as a show. He did it intensely in front of the families and everything. He made it a show of strength, which was not necessarily needed.
Okay.
So that's why I'm... But I also see why it was done, and I also see why some would be like, oh no, what he did was actually fine. So it's complicated. It's complex in this context. Sometimes you need to show strength. Again, I'll take Jon, but when he killed Janos Slynt, you gotta, if you have those rules and people cross them and you just let it happen, they will keep doing it. So sometimes you gotta show a little strength. What I don't agree with is the whole spectacle of it, and maybe it's just a way to confuse us, but it did look like they were picking random people, so I don't know. And the fact that he would do that without asking the king means that he's willing to do pretty much everything with the power he's been given.
And abuse it?
He could abuse it. He's got his ambition, so he's definitely coming back. And the king, if he gets ill from those wounds,
well,
it will turn bad.
The maester, did say that his wound in his back wasn't healing, right?
Yeah, they said cauterize it. It could either be from the throne cutting him, but then if he keeps getting cut, these could also get infected, or it's something worse, like an illness or something.
Didn't they say that those sword with the Iron Throne, they're from all the enemies vanquished back then?
Yeah.
Is the throne magic or something?
No.
No, okay. Because if it was a magic wound, like a dark magic wound, like blood magic, who knows?
No, I don't.
It won't heal.
I don't know. I don't think so. Okay,
he's just cursed then?
It's a pretty strong first episode. He could just be ill. It's love the brutality of the tournament being paralleled with the brutality of the queen's death. How all of this is being tainted. Something that is meant to be joyful and fun and welcome turned into a disaster. It's a good reminder that this is the Game of Thrones universe. We gotta stop saying Game of Thrones and start saying House of the Dragon.
Same universe. But I just want to ask something though. Did Damon seems to you in some of the few scenes like void, like a bit numb? Like, I mean, when we first saw him in that whorehouse, he just he had some problem with it.
Well, maybe he doesn't
feel like his mind is not completely there. Maybe. And even after when he lost his sister-in-law and his nephew, like his mind, like he's there but he's not there.
Well, I feel like maybe he feels betrayed by his family. They're sending him away. They're not giving him what he thinks he deserves. He wishes. I mean, I think he has his sight on his niece, and he can't have her, at least right now. He's disappointed with the life he's been given or the responsibilities he's they're giving him and stuff. So I think it's mostly that, like, coming back and seeing the girl he wishes he could have, not having her, seeing the seat he wishes he could have, not having it. It's a bunch of stuff that he wishes he could have, but yet he can't have. So he feels like nothing brings him joy. Maybe that's why he has so much ambition for the throne and everything. The life he has now doesn't fulfill him. So he sets his sight on bigger things that he thinks will bring joy. We'll
like
see.
murdering random people at night.
That gave him a rush of power. He did what that was technically his job, and he did it in a way like it sent a very strong message of don't fuck with Daemon Targaryen.
And his gold cloaks.
Yeah. In any case, we'll see. Yeah. So that's it for the first episode. It's a great comeback to this universe. I was excited. I was not disappointed, and I definitely see the production level is a bit high, is higher than, like, if you compare it to early Game of Thrones. As of course a lot of time has passed, there's a lot of budget going into this, but I love the effort of the different, like, for example, the tourney is not just like one camera doing its job and stuff, like it's multiple shots. And
we could attribute that fact that now they got more funds to do it.
Yeah.
But we could also attribute that fact that King Robert was maybe not the best at managing money and funds.
Season 1 of Game of Thrones had budget, but it's nothing compared to Season 8. And this is after Season 8, so we've got the production level of the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, but with a completely different set of characters and stuff. Like, we can do so much with this show, so I have high hopes. I'm excited.
Alright.
So thank you guys so much for watching this episode with us. If you want to see the next 2 episodes right away, they are or will be very soon on Patreon. You can check them out. The link is in the description below.
And if you don't want out, the next one will be out on YouTube next week. So we're gonna see you then, guys.
Bye.